our continuous mop-up operations into the violent protests, which led to loss of lives and injuries to a number of people within the Greater Kampala area and some of the selected districts upcountry. Those operations are still ongoing. As part of the ongoing investigations into the violent political and criminal protests. So our task teams have continued to track down the perpetrators and ringleaders who were behind these riots. It is unfortunate that the riots have so far claimed 45 lives, and this includes 39 male adults and 6 women. These fall in the bracket of 19 years up to 40. 42 bodies have been claimed from Mulago City Mortuary, while 3 still remain unclaimed. Of course, our hearts do go out to all the victims who were fatally wounded in these violent protests, and those many others who were injured out of it. We do understand, as the Joint Task Force, the importance of the right to protest. But again, we also come out to caution the public that even amidst these protests, there are people who will always come out to take advantage and break the law. And in so doing, they endanger themselves and also those who go about their normal businesses peacefully. So to help avoid a repeat of such incidents, all our territorial commanders intensified efforts to identify protesters and looters of the incidents mid-last week across all the flashpoint areas that we indicated. They've been using the widespread CCTV technology, both public and private. They've been able to read some of the license plate numbers of vehicles that were actively involved in the distribution of riot materials. And we've also managed to impound some vehicles. They've also continued to use the traditional methods of intelligence to obtain witness statements from different corners, and that has also helped us. The conduct of all those protesters who were involved were well captured, indicating the time, the location. We also had stamps on a number of borders and other vehicles that were used in facilitating these riots. So far, a total of 836 suspects have been arrested. 362 of these were charged to court, including Honorable Kyagulanyi Robert Sentamu, the presidential candidate NUP. 330 were remanded. We have 633 who are pending court today. Amongst those who were released on bond is the Honorable Engineer Patrick Muriat Oboy. So I'd like to remind everybody who was involved in the attacks of violence that we will investigate them and do everything within our means to bring them before the courts of law. Our task team of investigators has a total of 116 cases surrounding the riots, and these have been registered in the selected areas within the country between the 18th up to the 20th of November. So our task teams also continue to troll and continue to troll the CCTV cameras, public and private, like I indicated. We've also managed to retrieve so many video footages that have been uploaded on several digital platforms for our collation and analysis. Therefore, the evidence that we've so far gathered surrounding the 836 suspects is a combination of what we've captured on social media posts, YouTube videos, Twitter, WhatsApp, Instagram, and many others, plus a combination of the traditional methods that we have been using. Going forward, we would like to greatly thank the public for their increased level of response and cooperation. They have been able to share videos of culprits and perpetrators to these violent protests. We also still want to urge anyone who still has credible information or video footages from the protest to share on the police WhatsApp number at police headquarters, that is 0779 999 999. Now, as regards the political campaigns today that have entered day 15, we would like to let the public know that the conduct of the political campaigns has been so peaceful, with well-harmonized programs at venues. We've had regulated physical gatherings. We've not had mass rallies and processions like what has been happening in the previous days. And the candidates have adopted now the wide use of traditional and digital platforms to conduct their campaign. So we want to thank especially the presidential candidates for the orderly conduct of their campaigns beginning this week. The NRM presidential candidate was in East Choga and it was successful. This morning, the NUP candidate, presidential candidate, headed for Chegwegwa and Chenjojo and Fort Poto. He passed Mubende without any disruptions and even processions. So far, the campaigns he's had in Chegegwa have been very, very peaceful and in a regulated manner, and we want to thank him for that. We've managed to agree with the NUP agents, campaign agents in these places. And so far, the campaign program is moving very, very peacefully, and this is something that was lacking previously. The retired Lieutenant General Henry Tumukunde also had very peaceful campaigns in Kakumiro, Kagadi Chibale. Today we'll be heading to the districts of Bulisa, Masindi Chiriandongo. Also the retired Major General Mugisha Muntu was in Hoima, Abunyoro region, and he also had very peaceful campaigns. So we are so far happy with this conduct of the campaigns, and we hope that it is maintained that way. Using violence as a tool in campaign is not helpful at all. It just has a way that it impacts negatively on the public, the voters, and the many other stakeholders. Among some of the incidents to which we responded in a massacre, we had suspects who included Honorable Namayanja Florence, Dr. Bedwanika, Kanyike Evans Ronald, Kakande Juliet, among the 21 suspects who were arrested from there for actively participating in the protests. Then in Rakai district, that is Rwanda Trading Center, we had 6 suspects who were arrested. They were armed with pangas, spears, and sticks. They staged a roadblock, and they started robbing people and maliciously damaging their vehicles. So we had to respond. We had 6 arrested, and they should be amongst the 836. In Iganga, we had 33 that were also arrested for inciting violence. We responded, had them arrested, and they were even remanded at Busesa prisons. Namutumba, we had our response teams swung in when there was burning of tires along the Namutumba-Iganga highway, which disrupted the traffic flow along that major highway. So we had 2 suspects who were the ringleaders, that is Rwetabe Nelson and Sebe Ronald. Then here in CPS Kampala, there was death by shooting of Chitobe John and 3 others. Chitobe John was a support staff at UMI, together with 2 others who were not identified. When our teams responded, they found when several rioters were burning tires in the middle of the road. They had vandalized properties within the business center. So 4 suspects were arrested. Unfortunately enough, one of the stray bullets fatally wounded Mr. Chitobe John. It was unfortunate. The ASP Kasule Consolata, the Austin Achievable Police Post, was attacked and assaulted by one Kasozi Benson and others. She sustained a broken arm and is undergoing treatment and further surgery. We managed to arrest Kasozi Ben and 5 others, pending investigations in that matter. Then in Katwe, there was death by shooting of 2 unidentified people who attacked the police post at Katwe 1C, and a police motorcycle registration number UP0610 was burnt. We responded, 12 people were arrested, and 2 people who were not identified were also shot during the attack. There are other cases of malicious damage on government vehicles, like Semwanga Issa at Chibuye roundabout was driving motor vehicle UG 2307C, was stoned by angry rioters, smashing the windscreen and window glasses. The same applies with the Kopolo Twinamasiko still at Katwe roundabout in motor vehicle UG 0340G, was stoned by angry rioters. Then in Chengera, Magala Richard was driving a government vehicle UG 0005O, was also attacked, and the vehicle was seriously shattered. Some of these in Buwenge, we had incidents, that is in Jinja, along the Jinja Kamuli Highway, where Okwera Moses and 6 others put up barricades in the middle of the road, burning tires and throwing stones. 7 suspects were arrested there. Again in Vukedi region, that is Busia, we had rioters at the integrated market in Busia municipality, who were also burning tires and blocking roads. We dispersed them, and 23 suspects were arrested and charged in Busia. Then, still in Busia, there was an attempted arson on a fuel tank, motor vehicle registration number KCE 883Z, and ZF1938. It was a Scania, white in color, which was carrying fuel from Kisumu to Iganga district, and it was driven by Gideon Maina, 50 years. Well, he found rioters. Along, that is about 10 kilometers off Busia town, along Ginger Road, the Ginger Highway. These ones had a 5-liter jerrycan of fuel, and they were burning tires in the middle of the road. So when they saw the Scania of fuel, they attacked, and they tried to pour petrol and even light the fuel tank. That would have been disastrous if that fuel tank had actually blown. It would have even taken them because of the radius. They were within the radius of collateral damage. Then, of course, there were other shootings, like here in Wandegea. There were shootings of Kayondo Wile. 26 years of Mukwenda Zone Makerere was caught by a stray bullet during the process of quelling rioters. He was amidst the rioters who had become violent. That was quite unfortunate. There was another unfortunate incident of death by shooting of Kusasira Sophie. This was at Kalere B Market. She was a food vendor at Katewe Zone in Kawempe Division. And when we rushed her to Mulago, she succumbed to the injuries the next day. The other incidents of shooting happened in Wandegea. One Semanda John, a mechanic, 19-year-old, was also hit by a stray bullet. Then in Chiganda Zone, one Ayub Kongola, 45-year businessman, was also hit by a stray bullet during the riots. Nansana, we had also 5 people in Nansana who were fatally wounded after the situation had gone out of hand. Some of these include Napulira Daniel, 25, Semanda Junior, 25, a bodaboda rider at Hippo Stage, Regan Robert, also a border rider, Kintu Peter, 25-year-old of the same place. 25 suspects were also arrested as inquiries continue. So those incidents continued. We had incidents in Kawempe, in Mukono. We had serious incidents of incitement to violence and riotous incidents in Mukono, along Mukono Kayunga Road, Chiko Market, Nabuti, Nasuti, Wantoni, Katosi, Mbalala, Chigombia, Seta, Sonde, Nama, Velu, Muli, Bukerere, all that section there. So then in Lugazi, we also had incidents in Lugazi. Then Luwero, the one of Luwero is this one at around 7 p.m. at Kasara, along Luwero Kampala Highway. There was a convoy of 2 honorable ministers who were countered by violent rioters, burning tires. They had blocked the road at Kasara Trading Center along Luwero Kampala Highway. So in the process of countering the rioters, one of the bullets landed on Mutiaba Richard, 45-year-old, the chairman LC1 of Kasala Village. He was rushed to Kasala Health Center, where he passed on at 8 p.m. on that day. 30 suspects were arrested, and there were 60 other suspects who have been identified in Luweero whom they are actually following. Then in Mityana, there were also several incidents, being a flashpoint. We had several suspects who were arrested there, but there was also an attempt to set fire at KK petrol station at Mizingo, Busimbi division, where one called Saku Edrin, 18-year-old, you can imagine 18-year-old, who is a watchman at Zake Washing Bay, with another border rider, stormed KK refilling station and used petrol to set the fuel pump on fire. It was extinguished. The two suspects were arrested and handed over to police. So those are just selected incidents, but like I told you, 116 case files were opened. Amongst those, we have 44 cases which are under, we've opened death inquiry files on those 44. So I mean 45 so far. If there are any other fatal incidents that will arise, we shall be able to inform you all. During the period under review, about 56 major incidents or reportable cases outside the violent demonstrations occurred. This shows there was a decrease of about 11.1% in the number of cases, because the previous week we had registered 63 of those. So outside the protests, about 40 lives were lost, 30 were arising out of murder, out of which 28 suspects were arrested in all the 28 regions of police. 9 regions reported no major incidents. Among us, the few incidents we are investigating, there was an aggravated robbery at Midland Complex in Kisasi, where one Miss Kiden Helen was attacked by 2 unidentified men who were armed with 2 pistols and knives. They managed to rob 23 million and 8 mobile phones. The CCTV picked 2 young boys who were who described who were seen actually entering and exiting the apartment at the time of the robbery. So we are trying to scrutinize those images thoroughly so that we can come up with an identity. Then we had a bad incident of kidnap and rape of a 20-year-old female adult. She was kidnapped by one called Ahebwa Amon while returning to their home from the trading center. That was around 8 p.m. So one of the sisters informed the police, and the kidnapper started demanding for ransom of 3 million. So we managed to track down the suspect, that is Ahebwa Amon, and we had him arrested. The victim was rushed to hospital. She had signs of sexual assault, and she's being administered with the PEP and other treatments due to signs of rape on her. Then in Chiboga, there was a case of kidnap and murder of a 7-year-old female juvenile identified as Namujuri Esther. This happened at Chiboga Central in Chiboga district, where the parents of these young children, about 3, were left at home, went to the garden and left the children on their own. So the assailant took advantage came into the home, requested the children for a knife, and then she dragged the 7-year-old Namujuri Esther to the nearby hill about 80 meters away and beheaded this young female juvenile. Very painful incident. The other two children, the other little brother, that is Mujuzi Innocent, is the one who was left at home. But imagine leaving your children 7 and 4 years in some of these hostile settings. It's not okay. Then yesterday we also had a hostile incident on one of our police officers who was, this was at around this is an incident which happened yesterday in the evening at around 7 p.m. where a boda rider identified as Byamukama John was riding a motorcycle registration number UEG 347B, a Bajaj, beyond curfew time, and he was also carrying 2 passengers. So when he was stopped around Ginger Road at one of the checkpoints that we had, what this boda rider Byamukama John did, he raced the motorcycle, and then he knocked the traffic police officer identified as Police Constable Opobo Jacob, who was one of those manning the checkpoint. This was a deliberate incident, so we managed to rush our Police Constable Opobo Jacob to Mulago, and it is unfortunate he succumbed to the injuries. The 2 other passengers who were also being carried were also admitted in Naguru China Hospital, and they're in critical condition. So the matter has been taken over by CID because this was something that was premeditated. It was a deliberate attack with the intention of knocking and killing the traffic officer. May his soul rest in peace. But we want to caution our boda riders. This was way beyond the 6 p.m. timing. In addition to that, he was carrying 2 passengers, which is an offense of pillion riding. And so now you can see his reckless conduct cost a life and has also put him in more problems as he has to suffer the consequences. But even passengers who find themselves, you know very well that you're not supposed to be on a boda at past 6, and at any stage you're going to get a checkpoint, and this is a boda rider who is not going to stop. Now you can see the injuries that they got are actually life-threatening as well. So I want also to caution the public, plan your movement much earlier on so that you can avoid such incidents. So that was that. We also wanted to come up with some explanation. There has been a lot of fake rumors going about our police website. It is not true that our website was hacked into. The police website, for those who don't know, is being hosted in the US, and it has been operating on what has happened is that we are transitioning from a static web page to a dynamic web page because we are getting many requests these days. And why we are going to the dynamic web page is that it is what a number of modern institutions have transitioned to because it is more interactive. It is quite expensive, but it is worth it because it is a website which allows for people to comment, to make reservations. You can create stories, you can read, you can update, you can even delete. And that is the advantage it has over the static web page, which has a fixed code. It is more of like a brochure. Once it is printed, you never change anything, and it is less interactive. So it is against that background that the website is not just to give information, but it has to be as interactive, getting feedback from the public, and so on and so forth. So it's been worked on, and I think by now it should be back, because that transition was being worked on, I think, yesterday and the other day. So those who have been taking false credit that they have managed to bring down the police website, we are sorry for them. We are simply transitioning from a static web page to a dynamic web page. So that is also something that I thought we should get to share with you. Let's do Luganda and then we finish. Yeah, let's get a few questions. Then in English, then we shall do Luganda and Jackson.
Yes, question is only three questions. Only three. Yes, Ivan.
Ivan is my name. I work for UBC. One of our journalists was threatened by the RDC of Chivari. I am inquiring whether police is aware of this case. And number two, what is security going to do to protect journalists as they are following certain presidential candidates?
Thank you. Hello. CBS.
My name is Charles from CBS. I found I have two questions. One,
Let it be one. One. We said that.
I'll
One.
be very precise.
Okay.
Last week, the Minister for Security uttered something that has piqued a lot of interest and concern. That police has the right to shoot people. Has police started implementing that direction? Two is about the number of deaths you've given out. You're not giving us the figures from Afghan. Is this figure only within the Kampala metropolitan, or it cuts across the other area?
Thank you. Yes, simple question.
Yeah. When you say that we ask police, you apologize for, you sympathize, that's what you use, with those who are injured and those who died in the fracas. My question is, what orders did these people have? And if they acted against that order, what are you going to do to these officers who acted outside the orders you gave them?
Thank you. Yes, gentleman from MDS.
My name is Simple. One, with the violence that happened last week, what is the assurance that police are still on citizens' way?
Lastly, let's have a moment. Lastly.
Yes, we understand that. What I have done,
Media house and again.
what happened is now, is it that bus team was picked from their hotels and lodges last night by police and the military? What was the issue?
Thank you. Mr. Fande can take a look.
Thank you very much. But I'd forgotten, as I was coming in, I remembered that we lost one of our colleagues, Kakoza. We've interacted with him here. He has been a very good friend of ours, and it is unfortunate that he passed on, and we want to commiserate with the family, friends, workmates, and the entire media fraternity. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Now, about this incident of the UBC journalist who appears to have been attacked by the RDC Chivale, I need to follow that information. The Office of the Press and Public Relations Office at Police Headquarters has always followed up incidents of attacks on journalists. And this follows the instruction which was given by the Inspector General of Police to all territorial commanders to give protective cover to journalists in the course of their duties. So this is something I'm going to follow up. We had the other incident last week in Jinja, where one of the journalists there, I think of NBS, was arrested. The challenge that we had with this case is that the police had cordoned off the scene of crime during the arrest. And he attempted to break that barricade to take pictures from inside there. Now, you very well know in the conduct of your duties that much as you have the right to access any sort of information, once a scene of crime has been preserved, it doesn't, there is no law that permits a journalist to forcefully access or go beyond the scene of crime. So going forward, we really need to respect these guidelines, these procedures, so that you don't find yourself in some of these incidents. So that one I'm going to follow up. We've always given journalists the protective cover, but the danger when it comes to some of these fast-moving and aggressive incidents, some of the journalists find themselves embedded amongst the rioters who are being dispersed. So that one becomes very dangerous for you. There is no any amount of news that is worth your life as a journalist. And that is why you should emulate some of these international media organizations. Once they find it is not safe for their journalists to go there, that story is not worth it. Don't force stories that can cost your life. That is something that we need to advise you, but we continue giving you the protective cover wherever and now I'm giving you the figures because they are bodies that were transported up to the city mortuary. I know some of you are playing about with the numbers, but so far the numbers that we have are 45. If you have your other proof of the other cases and you can prove them, you get the post-mortem reports and show. The record that we have with the fully examined post-examination reports, post-mortem examination reports are 45. You get it? So I don't want any exaggerations and so on. That is what we have. There are 38, there are so far 39 males and 6 females. Now, about the circumstances under which police officers can use firearms. We've always indicated every now and again that when you have a very aggressive and hostile setting, you as a police officer, your life is under danger, and even those who are participating in these aggressive riots also have their lives that are under danger, and even innocent bystanders and other members of the public. Now, every now and again we've indicated instances where a police officer can use a firearm. And the public needs to be aware of this. that if there is a person who has been charged with an offense and is escaping from lawful custody, that is a police cell, or escaping from prisons, a police officer may use a firearm, or a law enforcement officer. Then any person who through force rescues another person from lawful custody, a police officer may also use a firearm under those circumstances. A person who through force prevents the lawful arrest of himself or herself or any other person, under those circumstances, the police officer may use a firearm. And then also in circumstances where the life of a police officer is in danger, he may also use a firearm to safeguard himself or safeguard the life of another citizen who is under those life-threatening conditions. So we had a very aggressive setting where all these incidents were there. Very life-threatening incidents. It is simply unfortunate that lives were actually lost. Then somebody was asking what assurance we have to Ugandans. We continue to assure Ugandans. Of course, some of these spontaneous activities usually give us a number of lessons to learn. Our response, these spontaneous riots began at around 9, and there was a wave of protests that really followed. So we needed to counter as fast as possible. But there was a delay, there was a mix. In some instances, there was a delay of almost 2 hours. Like in Chisenyi, it took about 2 hours for our response teams to reach there when the rioters had almost taken control of that neighborhood. So we responded in the manner that we did. And then in other places, up to the afternoon, they were running battles. So it is, there was a lot of work for us to do on our side. But I think these are operations that we managed to comb deep into the night. And by the following morning, we resorted to the use of batons and more specified intelligence-led operations. So there was an improvement the following day, and our intelligence teams have picked a lot of lessons out of that. Of course, they had some information about these noob cells all along, but they had not expected that there would be a wave of protests like what happened. But since the following day, sanity was restored, and even up to now, we have established a number of dynamic points in a number of our territories. We have identified some of those flash points and hotspots where there was a bit of a vacuum, and we've added more deployments of the law enforcement agencies, both police and military, into those places so that we can get to counter those ones. About the advance team, yes, we don't want a repeat of the many processions that keep following presidential candidates. Our teams got intelligence of those who managed to have monitored Mityana Road yesterday, beginning from, I think, after Bulova. There was heavy jam, 3 lanes of vehicles that were outbound, and all these were headed to Chegwega, Fort Poto, and so on. So we countered some of those, and we told them that the presidential candidate has a team that is already with, just like the many others, so we don't want any processions motorcades that will cause us problems again in those places. So they were counted, and even some of those, I think by 11 p.m. during the curfew time, the traffic was too much in that area. So that is basically it. Let us do Uganda briefly. I may not need to go into the other many summaries.
You didn't answer my question.
Of what?
Of the orders the officers had, and whether what you will do. If they acted against the orders they had, what are you going to do to them?
No. There is not saying that these are operations that are usually supervised from the National Command Center. We are able to monitor what is taking place. When Kampala is on fire, of course, you also respond appropriately to get to see it, because there are many people's businesses that are really, that were affected. You can see that the motive of some of the rioters was to loot people's property and so on. So they were just taking advantage of these riots. If you monitor with riots, the same things happened in Ferguson, the same things happened in the UK, in Liverpool. So it is not that once you have such an aggressive rioter situation, you shouldn't really respond with you shouldn't respond appropriately. So the command is usually given to the commanders, and when the situation is overwhelming, there are also tactical responses that are always made that you cannot, you don't need to come out and say do this, but the commanders and the senior commanders were always exchanging information. Mwebale nnyo tuvuddeyo okutangaza ku bya security engeri gye biyimiridde. Twagala okutegeeza bannayuganda nti security mu ggwanga lyaffe ekyatebenkedde, tewali nnyo kusoomoozebwa kw'amaanyi okuggyako ebyo ebyaliwo wakati mu wiiki eyo we twafuna okusoomoozebwa mu bitundu by'e Kampala wano n'ebitundu ebirala wakati mu Buganda, Busoga, Embale n'ebirala, era nga kiddirira ebikolwa ebyokwegugunga n'okwekalakaasa okwaliwo okw'amaanyi wakati mu wiiki eyo yaggwa. Obubondo bwaffe obukola obwenyigidde mu kugaziya okunoonyereza kwabo abali bakulembeddemu ebikolwa bino ebyokwekalakaasa, okwegugunga, okwokya ekibuga kukyagenda mu maaso n'ekigendererwa ekyokulaba nti abantu bano bakwatibwa. Bwe twogerera olwaleero, abantu kibi nnyo nti abantu abawerera ddala 45 tebasobola kulutonda. Mu 45 mwabaddemu abasajja abaami awerera ddala 39 n'abakyala 6. Bano bagwa mu wakati w'emyaka 19 paka emyaka 40. Emirambo egiwerera ddala 42 gye gyakatwalibwa ab'eŋŋanda, naye waliwo emirambo 3 abannannyini tebannaba tebannaba gitwala, naye nga okunyolwa n'okusaasira kuli ero abo bonna abaakosebwa, abaafiirwa abaabwe mu kwegugunga okwo kwaliwo. Mu ngeri emu oba endala kwali era tekisaana abantu kuvaayo na kwegugunga ekyaleetera abantu baffe okufiirwa obulamu bwabwe. naye nga bannasecurity tukimanyi nti abantu balina eddembe lyabwe ery'obwebange, naye mu biseera bingi tufuna obuzibu bakigwanyizi abamenyi b'amateeka we beetaba mu ddembe lino ne balitaataaganya mu ngeri emu oba endala, kubanga kiviirako abantu ba bulijjo kikosa obulamu bw'abantu baffe aba bulijjo n'abo kennyini nnyini abeenyigidde mu bikolwa eby'okwekalakaasa n'okwegugunga, obulamu bwabwe buba buli mu katyabaga wamu ne bannasecurity. Okwewala ebikolwa bino eby'okwegugunga, kwekalakaasa, okutalina mayitire, tweyongedde okuwa ebiragiro bakomanda baffe mu bitundu eby'enjawulo okweyongera okulondoola abo bonna bonna abaali beenyigidde mu kukulembera ebikolwa bino eby'okwekalakaasa n'okwegugunga wakati mu wiiki eyo. Mu bitundu byonna byonna okwekalakaasa we kwali ebitundu ebisukka mu 3. Era bano ekirungi bagenze beetegereza obutambi obwa CCTV obwa poliisi n'abantu ba bulijjo balina kamera ezaabwe, basobodde okufuna likodi eza boda ez'emmotoka ez'enjawulo ezaali zeenyigidde mu kukukusa n'okusaasaanya ebipiira, amafuta agaali gakozesebwa mu kwokya ekibuga n'ebitundu ebirala. Kati we twogerera tulina era ebifaananyi bye twasobodde okufuna, tugenda kubyanika gye bugenda mu maaso eri bannayuganda okusinziira mu bitundu byonna byonna, abantu baffe basobole okumanya abo abaali bakulembedde obubondo buno obwali bugendererwa okwokya ekibuga n'ebitundu ebirala. Era twasobodde okubyetegereza obulungi. Ekirungi ekiri mu kamera zino zikulako obudde, ekifo, ate we kibeera mmotoka oba pikipiki kikuba stamp eya number plate eyo n'egitulaga n'ebifo kati oli waaba ayitidde. We twogerera kati abantu abawerera ddala 836 be baakakwatibwa, 362 mu bo be batwaliddwa mu kkooti, nga mwe mwali ne Honorable Kyagulanyi Sentamu Robert. 330 basobodde okwateeka ku rimanda, ate 633 abo bakutwalibwa mu kkooti olunaku lwa leero. Honorable Engineer Patrick Oboya Muriat teyasula mu kaduukulu, yali yaweebwa bond, y'omu ku abo abaweebwa bond. So twagala okujjukiza abo bonna bonna abeenyigira mu bikolwa bino eby'okwekalakaasa nti okunoonyereza kukyagenda mu maaso, era tugenda kukola butaweera okulaba nti abo bonna abeenyigira mu bikolwa bino abakyali eyo abeekwese bakwatibwa batwalibwe mu mbuga z'amateeka. Emisango 116 zezasobodde, fayiro eziwerera ddala 116 zezasobodde okuggulwawo mu kiseera ekyo. Era obubondo buno bwasobodde okulondoola buli vidiyo, buli katambi akadde kakasukibwa mu social media, ku YouTube, ku Twitter, WhatsApp, Instagram. Bwatuyambye kinene nnyo okulaba enneeyisa ey'abeekalakaasi n'okufuna ebifaananyi byabwe ebituufu. So twagala okwebaza abantu ba bulijjo, nakati tulina abatukubira amasimu ne batuwa information ne batukasukira obutambi obwo obwabo abaali beenyigidde mu kwekalakaasa okwo. So twagala okujjukiza, okusooka okwebaza bannayuganda n'okusaba abo abayinza okuba nga bakyalinayo obutambi nti babuweereze ku WhatsApp yaffe ey'ekitongole kya poliisi 0779 999 999. tujja kubasanyukira nnyo. Bwe twogerera olunaku lwa leero, ba presidential candidates bayingidde ennaku eza campaign eziwerera ddala 15. Ekyenjawulo kye tulabyeko olwaleero kye ky'okuba nti campaign buli presidential candidate abadde azikolera wakati w'eddembe nga bagezezzaako bonna okutambulira ku nkola Electoral Commission gye yateekawo. Tebasusizza bantu basussa bibiri, tebatambulidde mu luseregende lw'amamotoka, tebakubye enkuŋŋaana mu makubo, bakozesezza emitimbagano giri emitimbagano gino emipya gye tuyitanga new media, wamu n'enkola eri enkadde ey'okuyitira ku mikutu egya radio, TV n'ebirala. So twagala okwebaza ba presidential candidates bonna. Candidate wa NRM yabadde mu bitundu bya East Kyoga, Soroti, yabadde atambuliza emirimu gye obulungi. Candidate wa NUP ku makya yakedde n'atuuka ekyegegwa ky'Enjojo ne Fort Portal. Oluseregende lwabadde atambulirako n'enkuŋŋaana zino ez'olukale ezabadde ategeka mu makubo teyasobodde yadde okusituka okuwuubirako abantu mu makubo. Kyekyenjawulo kye tusobodde okulaba ku Honorable Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert ku nkya ya leero. Era campaign team ye mu bitundu bino ebya Kyegegwa ne Kyenjojo basobodde okukwatagana ne balambula ebifo nga Electoral Commission bwe yakitegeka awatali buzibu bwonna. So ne mu bitundu ebirala kakati nga mu bitundu by'e Bunyoro, Retired Lieutenant General Kenneth Mukunde yabadde mu bitundu eby'e Kakumiro, Kagadi, Kibaale, kati leero ali Buliisa, Masindi, Kiryandongo, era nawo tewali buzibu. Ate ne Retired General Major General Mugisha Muntu yabadde mu district ey'Ekikuube, Hoima, n'agenda ne ku radio kati nga Spice FM gye yasobodde okutambuliza campaign ze watali buzibu bwonna. Okwetooloola ebitundu ebya Kampala, Masaka, ebifo ebirala ebyo, obuwendo bwaffe buzze bulondoola abantu bangi. Mu bitundu eby'e Masaka tuyina abantu 21 abaakwatibwa oluvannyuma lw'okwegugunga n'okwagala okwokya ekibuga Masaka. Mwabaddemu ba candidates abamu omuli Honorable Namayanja Florence, Dr. Bed Bwanika, Kanyike Evans, Kakande Juliet, be bamu abaali beenyigidde mu kwekalakaasa mu bitundu eby'e Masaka. Pozera Erakai mu ka trading center ak'e Rwanda waliwo akabondo k'abavubuka abaali bakutte ebijambiya, amafumu, emiggo. Bano batondawo road block ng'enkola bwe yali mu bitundu bino byonna ebisatu, ne batandika okukansa abantu ssente n'okukola kutya. Banna security basobola okudduukirira abatuuze mu kifo ekyo kya mukisa mubi. Omuvubuka Senkima Fred w'emyaka 18, amasasi agaakozesebwa erimu ku ddyo lyamukwata wabi n'afa kibi nnyo. Era Iganga tuyinayo abantu 34 abaakwatibwa nga bakulembeddwamu omwami gwe bayita Lagwe Nicholas. Namutumba tuyina abantu 2 abaddira ekkubo eggazi eriva Namutumba okudda Iganga ne bookya ebipiira ekkubo lyonna ne baliwambako. 2 ku bo Rwetabe Nelson, Sebe Ronald nabo baakwatibwa ne balyoka batwalibwa mu kkooti. Wano mu kibuga wakati tulina omwami Kasozi Benson bangi gwe baalaba mu katambi, yali akutte ennyondo n'agyolekera omukyalo omupoliisi ow'amayinja 3 Kasule Konsalata n'agezaako okumwasa omutwe. Omukyalo ono omukono gwasobodde okumenyeka era kati ali mu ddwaliro, naye Kasozi Benson ne banne abalala 5 baakwatiddwa mu bitundu by'e Katwe abaali bagezaako okwokya police station ey'e Katwe wansi. Tulina abantu 2 abaakosebwa oluvannyuma lw'okwokya pikipiki ya poliisi ne police post ey'e Katwe wansi. Twakwata abantu 2, abalala 2 basobola baafuna ebisago eby'emmundu ebyabaviirako okufa. Emmotoka eza gavumenti nnyingi zaakosebwa. Kati nga Simwanga Isa yali avuga UG 2307C. Tuna Masiko Godfrey yali avuga UG 34G. Tulina omwami Salim Seka yali avuga mmotoka Toyota Alpha UBF 224C. N'omulala Ashaba Ronald yali avuga UAL 580G. Zino emmotoka zonna abeegugunzi baasobola okuzaasa endabirwamu n'okwagala okuzookya. Ne mu bitundu by'ekyengera eyo yonna ebuwenge tulina abantu 6 nabo nga badda mu kkubo eggazi Jinja Kamuli ne balyoka batandika okwokyera ebipiira ne bataataaganya entambula. Tulina Okwera Moses ne banne abalala 6 abaakwatibwa. Ebusia era ebikolwa eby'okwegugunga mu katale ka Integrated Ebusia kyaviirako abantu 23 okukwatibwa. Mpozi era Ebusia tulina abavubuka abaali bookya ebipiira kilomita 10 nga wakava Ebusia. Bano we baalaba ekiroole kino kirukululana ekitwala amafuta kitanka ky'amafuta namba KCE 883Z ne ZF 1938 Scania yali njeru nga etwala amafuta okuva Ekisuumu mpaka Iganga. Yali evugibwa omwami gwe bayita Gideon Maina myaka 5. Abavubuka bagenda ne bagiira petroli ne bagezaako okugikumako omuliro. Kyali kikolwa kya bulabe kuba kitanka ekyo ne kimala kikwata omuliro. Abantu abali mu radius kumpi kubanga mita 5 basobola okukosebwa nga kyabise mu kuna ne bano kennyini abaali bagezaako okukyokya. So kikolwa kya bulabe. Mwagala mmaleyo oba so munyambye nnyo ne mugamba nti tukomaawo. Naye nga njagala kusooka waliwo kye njagala okutereeza. Waliwo eŋŋambo ezibadde ziyitiŋŋana nti website oba omukutu omunene ogwa poliisi waliwo abasobodde bakuyita ku hacking. Waliwo aba hackings oba bakalimagezi abagezezzaako okutaataaganya omukutu gwaffe omukulu ogwa poliisi oba police website. Ekyo si kituufu. Guno omukutu abakugu abali e US be batuyamba okuwanika omukutu guno ogwa police website, era nga tewali ngeri oli gy'asobola kuhakinga oba kuyingira mu mukutu ogwo n'agutaataaganya. Enkola eriwo eri nti omukutu guno gubadde gutambulira ku nkola enkadde nga woba otaddeko information oba amawulire tosobola kugakyusa, oba abantu ba bulijjo bwe baba baagala okufuna amawulire ku mukutu ogwo bakaluubirirwa, kale yali etambulira ku nkola nkadde. Naye kati eno enkola empya gye bayita eri dynamic, nti ya kikugu ate nga etambulira ku mulembe nti abantu basobola okutuwabula, basobola okutuyamba okugaziya information ebeerako. So eyo enkola empya gye tutambulirako, era bunaazibira olwaleero tujja kuba tuzzeeko tujja kuba tukomyewo ku gundi okutandika ate okukozesa omukutu ogwo. Naye ababadde beewaana nti simanyi era omukutu poliisi twasobodde okuhakinga mu sisitimu yaabwe, si kituufu nga babadde beewaana.
Olwo mwami kasooke n'oli, kasooke n'omwana oyo. Kasooke n'ono omwana, agenda kudda mutokaayo. Namugamba kibuuze ekibuuzo kyo. Kale webale nnyo, twandika tukaddemu biri tekyatiddemu.
Katwangweko tumalirize. We have other things to do. So what is this? Ekibuuzo ono kyabuuzizza era kumpi kiringa kiri ekyabadde kisembyeyo kye twannyonnyodde. Naye nga ekyo nga tetunnagenda mu bibuuzo, ekitongole kya poliisi kyadde kivuddeyo n'okunyoola okw'amaanyi olw'okufiirwa munnamawulire munnaffe gwe tubadde tukola naye omugenzi Kakooza. Y'omu ku abo naddala ekitongole ekya poliisi ne banna security tubadde tukwatagana nnyo naye, abadde musajja mukozi, era olwawulidde amawulire ag'okufa kwe twanyooleddwa nnyo. Twagala okusaasira ab'enju ye, ab'eŋŋanda, ab'emikwano bonna. Tusaba Mukama omwoyo gwe agawummuza emirembe. Nga tuvuddeeyo waliwo eyabadde yeemulugunya wano ku nkwata bannamawulire gye bakwatibwamu kati ng'ebyabadde ekibaale, nga balaga nti RDC ayina engeri gye yayisizzaamu obubi bannamawulire mu disitulikiti eyo. Eno information yadde tennaba kujja mu ofiisi yaffe, naye nga ekitongole eky'omwogezi wa poliisi mu ggwanga buli lwe tubadde tufuna amawulire ku bannamawulire nga balina engeri gye banyigirizibwamu, gye bakozesebwa, gye babasoomooza, tubadde tuvaangayo nnyo ne tulondoola buli keesi munnamawulire gy'abadde. Era ofiisi yaffe ebadde ekola nnyo okulaba nga bannamawulire tebanyigirizibwa mu kutambuza emirimu gyabwe. Ekyo nkiteekako n'omukono, era kino tugenda kukigoberera. Naye waliwo incidenti etaali nnungi mu bitundu eby'ejjinja juuzi nti bannamawulire newankubadde baweebwa olukusa okusaka amawulire aga buli ngeri, naye tewali tteeka libakkirizibwa kuyingira mu kifo awabaziddwa omusango n'ebifo ebiralalala, kubanga ekyo kiri mu nkola nti awantu awawaddiziddwa omusango ne woweera nnamawulire osobola okutaataaganya obujulizi obuba busangiddwawo. Ate mu biseera bingi nga poliisi tuvaayo bannamawulire ne tubawa security, naye no sayidi gye tubeera tebaagalayo, baagalayo eri mu kinyusi awali okwegugunga n'okukola kutya. Kati ekyo kibateeka mu katyabaga naddala nga waliwo okusaasaanya oba okugumbulula abo abeekalakaasi. Nawe munnamawulire ogenda okwesanga nga kikutwaliddemu. Naye ate bannamawulire e Uganda wano nabo balina enkola nti wobeera munnamawulire kwegamba gwe oluusi mulimu abeetwala nti bali waggulu w'amateeka waba babagambye nti wano temusukkawo aba ayagala akozesa ekifuba. Ekifaananyi ekyo si kirungi. Twagala okulabula bannamawulire nti tewali ggulire lyenkanankana bulamu bwo. Kyovudola giri emikutu egy'amawulire mu nsi ezaakulaakulana tebasobola kusindika munnamawulire nga balaga nti ekifo ekyo obulamu bw'omunnamawulire obwo bubeera mu katyabaga, kubanga amawulire go gy'ova ne gye bugenda gajja kusigalawo, naye obulamu obufiirwa buba bugenze ate nga bugendedde ddala. So tusaba bannamawulire nti tugoberere enkola entuufu eyateekebwawo mu kusaka amawulire, muleme okukozesa eryanyi awatasaana, kubanga kiyinza okubeera ekyobulabe gye muli. Katwaliwo wadde abuuza wano kubanga ennamba Dr. gye yatuwadde ku bantu abaakafa bali 45 bwe badde baleeta emirambo okuva up country ne bagikebera. Records ze tulina eza postmortem ezakaggwa ziri 45. So aba balina ennamba zaabwe, ekyo kiri ku side yaabwe. Era ne case files ze tulina ezeetooloolera ku kunoonyereza ku kufa kwa bano ziri fayiro eziwerera ddala 45. So ekyo ekifaananyi kyekiriwo, sitwagala ate tutandike kubuzaabuza bannayuganda. Waliwo adde alaga nti omupoliisi ddi lwalina okufulumya ekyasi, ne tulaga nti omuntu waba akwatiddwa ng'ali mu kaduukulu ka poliisi oba aka prison n'agezaako okudduka, bannasekurity tuli baddembe okukozesa essasi mu ngeri ey'okumuleetera obulemu asobole okukwatibwa. Ekyokubiri kyekyokuba nti oyo agezaako okutaasa omuntu ali mu kaduukulu ako mu ngeri emenya amateeka, oyo naye osobola okukozesa emmundu mu kumukakkanya n'okumulemesa. Omuntu yenna akozesa amaanyi oba effujjo okulemesa okukwatibwa kwe, ng'oli muzzi wa musango, oli mwekalakaasa, oli ki, poliisi ekugamba nti gundi lekeraawo oba nkukutte, tugenda ku poliisi olw'omusango guno, oba ng'alina obulabe bwagezaako okutuusa ku muntu omulala, oba obulabe bwayagala okutuusa ku oyo omupoliisi, waddembe okwetaasa n'okukozesa emmundu eyo okutaasa munnayuganda omulala okwetaasa mu ngeri efaanana bw'etyo. So w'otunuulira ebyali mu kibuga wakati, ekibuga kyali kitomoka omuliro, abantu bangi, abavubuka abamu abaali bazze baali balina bigendererwa birala bya kunyaga bintu by'abantu, era mwabira mu bitundu okufulumya ekibuga nti buli eyali avaayo sigamba nti oba kyali kikwatagana, baali bavudde ku munamu ogwa Nuupu nga bagenze mu kunyaga bunyazi bantu, kwonoona amamotoka gaabwe nakukola kutya. Abaali tebalina ssente, waliwo abamu abakozesa emitwalo 10 n'okusoba okugula faasi basobole okutuuka mu maka gaabwe. So kyali kikolwa kibi nnyo. Waliwo yadde agamba nti bannayuganda tubawa ssuubi ki mu kutambuza emirimu. Tewali ggwanga liyina security nti yagguluggulu 100 ku 100. Ensinga America yafuna okusoomoozebwa kwano mu kujjukira bulungi nnyo, ate nga ze zimu ku nsi ezikulembeddemu. Muzze mulaba ebikolwa eby'obutujju mu nsi eziwerako. So ne wano olw'okuba bino byagwawo bugwi, olukwe lwali lupange ng'ate lw'amaanyi nnyo nnyo, so mu bitundu ebimu response teyali nnungi, ogenda okudduukirira ekifo nga already abeegugunzi baali bamaze okukola ki, embeera yali emaze okusajjuka nga tulina okukozesa obwangu. So twakozesa nnyo tiyagaasi olunaku olwasooka era abantu abalala bangi ne bakosebwa, naye mu kiro ekyo ebikwekweto twabigaziya era okugenda okukeera ku makya nga tulina abantu abawerera ddala 577. Tetwaddayo kukozesa tiyagaasi enkeera, ne tweyongera okulondoola abo abeegugunzi era kyekyaviiriddeko kati okukwatayo n'abalala 259. So bannayuganda balina okimanya nti mu kino mwabaddemu ebyokuyiga bingi. Abakesi baffe balina bingi bye bayizeemu, so gye tugenda mu maaso tulina essuubi ddene mbu bino tebijja kuddamu kukola ki, kulabika. Then waliwo yabadde agamba nti waliwo advance team ey'abanuupu eyakwatiddwa n'abalala baalemesebwa. Kituufu waliwo abaalemesebwa nga bagezaako nga bulijjo okutambulira mu luseregende lw'amamotoka okugenda mu bitundu ebyakyegegwa Kyenjojo ne Fort Portal, era okwewala ebyo ebizze bibeerawo. Honorable Kyagulanyi buli lwabadde atambula, abasinga twabasabye bakomewo baleme ate kutwala bikolwa bya ffujjo mu bitundu ebyo. Kibeera mu nkola yaffe okwewala enkola esobola okuviirako effujjo. Mwebale nnyo, mwebalira ddala.